Hello, it's Lee Montgomery of SceneDaily.com here with Jim Duff. We're going to talk a little bit today about NASCAR and sponsorship issues. Now, obviously, the sport is going through a tough economic time, as is the rest of the country. And there are some issues about whether or not NASCAR should help the teams out, especially in Sprint Cup, some way, maybe some way financially. So, Jim, I don't know, what do you think about that? Is NASCAR in the business of helping the teams out financially?
Well, I don't think it's so much of a direct loan to the teams or a direct financing of the teams, but I think NASCAR could do something to make the teams more valuable, and that's primarily through franchising. I think if there were 43 franchised Cup teams, for instance, they would have a better chance of obtaining sponsors that they could then guarantee that we're going to be in the race each Sunday, we're going to get that national television exposure. We create real value for the teams instead of saying, hey, we're independent contractors, we may or may not be in the big show on Sunday, but come on and give me $20 million anyway.
Well, I can kind of understand that argument, and franchising probably would work, but NASCAR is never going to get there, and I think we both know that.
Well,
so let's go beyond that for just a second and say, as my take is, NASCAR has come out in support of the bailout for the automakers, so maybe NASCAR needs to take a step back and look at themselves. Well, if they're asking for help for the automakers, then maybe they need to help out these teams that are struggling with sponsorship up and down the series, not just in Sprint Cup, but in nationwide and trucks too.
The difficulty with a direct loan program like that becomes, suddenly the teams that NASCAR has loaned the money to are suddenly more competitive and are getting better finishes each week, and I think the last thing that fans want to see is any hint of favoritism or impropriety and that sort of thing. I think, the other issue that has to be considered here from a financial standpoint is we're seeing a year in which AT&T is going away from the Cup Series. Yeah. We're seeing Geico disappear from the Nationwide Series. I think we need to take another look at NASCAR competing with the teams themselves for sponsors. And particularly now, NASCAR, of course, will argue that Sprint's sponsorship of the Cup Series benefits all the teams. But if you're Richard Childress Racing and you're losing that AT&T sponsorship this year, you're not a happy individual.
Oh, absolutely. And I've heard many times in the Nationwide garage, particularly about drivers and teams who have had sponsors taken out from under them by NASCAR. And that's just a situation where it hurts everybody. And on the opposite side of that, NASCAR has a pretty powerful marketing company, organization, built within themselves, that they could go on behalf of these other teams to various companies and say, hey, we've got a team that needs $2 million, where can you help? And it was a driver suggested to me, I think it was a good idea, why can't NASCAR set that business up as a business and get 10% of off the top of it? Maybe, make a little bit of money. It helps NASCAR. They get some of that cash. It helps the teams. They have a sponsorship. And really, if they do it enough, there's not a conflict of interest.
Well, 8 or 10 years ago, that was, in theory, what was supposed to be going on. Yeah. But I haven't heard any results lately. I don't think the teams have either.
I don't think it has. And
obviously, it's an issue we're going to have to be watching for a good while to come. And we can certainly hope that 2009 is a better year financially than 2008 has been.
Amen. And we'll revisit that sometime later here on SceneDaily.com. Thanks for listening.